Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I know from my own experience, and probably you have from your own experiences, that during sports tempers get raised and people become a little more aggressive in the nature of what they're doing because of competition. It's the nature of competition, basically. And oftentimes as a fan or just really an audience member, you find that when these situations get taken out of context or really brought out of hand, that's when it's kind of the most entertaining, whether you like it or not. You find it to be a little more entertaining. You tend to watch a little more in depth, do a little more research on it. And an example of really that type of situation is the Pacers-Pistons brawl of 2004. There was a lot of things that really went into effect with that. There was a lot of fueling factors that went into it. I'll tell you what the factors were that went into it. I'll give you an overview of the actual situation that occurred. I'll tell you the punishment that people had been given as a result of it, and I'll tell you what the NBA did really to deal with that situation specifically. Basically how something like this could be really taken into effect and occur is basically aggressive play, what people do during the sport when they're playing it, how they're really acting and behaving, how much they're really making physical contact with each other. The referees also play a role in it, in the fact that they can choose to what they call to participate in selective whistling, which is basically when the referee makes judgment calls all the time rather than go just off the rule book. A foul call may not be given because of the size of the other player, or regardless. Disrespectful fans was a very, very big motivating factor in this situation. And alcohol influence was also a big deal in this situation. What basically happened was a player on the Indiana Pacers known as Ron Artest he was forced to commit a foul to Ben Wallace, who's a player on the Pistons, just to avoid him from scoring on a fast break play. It was a close game, and it was really just a heat of the moment thing. But Ben Wallace really took it out of hand. He retaliated in a physical manner. He pushed him. He laid hands on another person, which is going to make the other tempers raise. As a result, Ron Artest kind of walked away. He didn't really engage in any physical retaliation back to it. He walked away. He's a bit of what they would call a drama queen. So he went over. He laid on the scores table and the announcing table. Kind of drew attention to himself, but didn't really retaliate. So there was nothing you could say about him. And then, after a little while had gone by of him laying on the scores table, a fan who was under the influence of alcohol threw a beer can at him, and it hit him while he was on the scores table, and that kind of set him off to the fact that he actually entered the stands and began to assault the fan and I guess that fan's family. And his teammates came in to support him, not really as they were personally affected by it, but as a team you feel as though you're a family, and so you come and support your fellow teammates whether you feel like they're correct or not, and you deal with the consequences later. The Pistons players went in the audience to try to stop them, which ended up them engaging in fans, which wasn't a positive factor either. And really, the situation got out of hand because the fans themselves have no business on the court, I guess, and whereas the players felt like they were being intruded upon by the fans in a situation that had nothing to do with them. Now, there were punishments given to both fans and players. Ron Artest had been suspended for the remainder of the season because they believed that he triggered the whole brawl incident of it, whereas this is when Ben Wallace pushed him. There was an example, it's a picture. He pushed him and they were separated by the referee, where the two teams were separated. But really, he's known as this type of gritty player where he would really be in your face. This is a picture of him really getting in Kobe Bryant's face on defense. It really shows his tenacity and his competitive nature, where he was, he's that type of player. He's that type of guy that's really in your face with his defense, and kind of an intimidation factor is his lifestyle for the most part. As you can see, these players were suspended, and these were the consequences given to these players. Ron Artest suffered the heavy penalty of being suspended for the remainder of the season, which happened to be 73 games. Steven Jackson, who is also a member of the Pacers, was suspended for 30 games because he had struck a fan that caused the fan to actually lose vision in his right eye. Jermaine O'Neal was suspended for 15 games, who's also a Pacer. And the two asterisks next to the number 15 is because he was given heavy penalties because it was extremely difficult to remove him from the stands. Anthony Johnson, who's a Pacer, was given 5 games. Reggie Miller, who wasn't even a player in this game, he had actually been on injury and he retired the year after, was given a penalty of 1 game because he actually got onto the court although he was on injury reserve. Ben Wallace was given 6 games, and that's a controversial 6 games because he actually initiated the entire situation by retaliating to a regular foul, whereas he didn't enter the stands, which is what caused Ron Artest to get such a heavy penalty. And then the 3 remaining people, Chauncey Billups, Eden Campbell, and Derek Coleman, were all given 1 game just for kind of participating in the situation. And then the NBA apologized for what had happened to the fans and the players, but the NBA had to take action on the fans as well, and so they had done an investigation that resulted in 3 fans being sued and not allowed at NBA events anymore for the remainder of their lives because they feel that they're a hazard to playing and they're not able to contain themselves in that type of setting. And the situation occurs more often than not in every sport. I play basketball. I play for your John Jay Bloodhounds, and I can tell you from experience that this does occur a lot. Not maybe in such a dramatic nature where we enter the stands, but the players get into heated situations. It causes physical violence and different situations that wouldn't ordinarily happen on the street.
Raj, you've got to get to your conclusion. You're going on to 8 minutes now.
Okay, and basically, this type of situation can be avoided if other players and fans really tighten their belt on the situation, and that's basically it.
Okay, I'm going to move on.